George N. Marsden's The Outrageous Idea of Christian Scholarship attempts to bridge the divide between secular academic scholarship and a faith-informed Christian scholarship. Marsden posits that the mainstream higher education should be more open to explicit discussion of the relationship of religious faith to learning. Now, the rub between the secularist and Christian worldview is, of course, that the Christian tends to believe in one truth, but many perspectives, while the secular humanist believes in many truths, all with multiple valid perspectives, and some of these perspectives are considered more valid than others. Such a multiplicity of truths allows the scholar to sort of place his thumb on the scale for the truths that most benefit him or his aggrieved following. I can't help but think of the anti-racist theory as such a venture. The ideas underlying Marsden's work affirm that Christianity informs the work of the scholar in his or her choice of research topics, areas of interest, examination of human motivations and foibles, and in other areas. While the secular academy pretends to be neutral in its assumptions and views, it clearly isn't. Marsden states that faith in something or other informs all scholarship, and we see evidence everywhere, especially in the social sciences, that that's true. Secular humanism has its own set of orthodoxies and assumptions, informed by several differing philosophical perspectives, whether they be Marxist or neoliberal or capitalist or even free market conservatism, long after these theories of human behavior are found wanting and fail in the realm of experience and history. Some intellectuals stubbornly hold on to them with an almost religious zeal. At the same time, Christian scholars fear mentioning their faith to students or in their written work because of the inevitable objections to mixing religion with learning. Those writers who do espouse a Christian worldview and teach in secular institutions hide their light under a bushel for fear of the mob. Marsden points out that tragic decline in mainline Protestant universities that once taught the basics of Christian theology as part of a required canon only washed their hands of their religious heritage in order to be taken seriously in the academic and scientific world of the 20th century. So what then should we do? Marsden presents several suggestions that are indeed workable and necessary, while others assume that the Christian viewpoint might be welcomed back in as the post-Enlightenment age finds fewer and fewer answers to man's problems. Marsden believes that Christian universities should maintain a strong institutional base through alliances with Catholic institutions and other universities and colleges who have been unwilling to abandon their religious influence. While many, quote, mainline Protestant and Catholics jettisoned or subordinated their religious identities, end quote, to achieve acceptance in academia, some Catholic universities still maintained academic programs that emphasized the role of theology and faith in learning. He identified the building and strengthening of communities as central to cohesive unity among Christian scholars at both secular and faith-based universities. He makes the point that while diversity is stressed within the university, it's not stressed or even welcomed among universities, leaving religious institutions that do not jettison their beliefs out of the mix. A drab commitment to philosophical values is no longer sufficient because there is no meaning behind those commitments. Citing Stephen Carter's work noting that religious belief has been trivialized in American life as just another hobby, in his words, something trivial and not really a fit activity for intelligence, public-spirited individuals. Marsden points to the encouragement in civil society to consider religious faith and belief as, quote, personal, with no place in business, teaching, or work. As an illustration, Marsden rejects the notion presented by the Chronicle of Higher Education that gender and race are empirical constructs, while the notions of faith and the supernatural are not. The idea of gender and race seem to become confused with every passing day and bear little resemblance at times to what can be empirically verified, so much so that those two notions reach into the realm of belief and faith, i.e., I believe I am a woman, therefore I'm female, and defended as if they were religious orthodoxy. In another prescription for improving the position of faith-influenced scholars, Marsden calls for Christian schools to push back on the pressure to secularize academic discourse, beginning with the hiring of faculty, influencing hiring policy, endowments devoted to faith-based faculty, etc. Of course, the suggestion, when you think about it, is fraught with dangers. If you note the experience of the Bass Endowment for Western Civilization professorships at Yale, a wealthy Christian benefactor would do well to endow an institution like Liberty, Calvin College, or even a smaller traditional liberal arts college than watching his or her millions be suborned to purposes antithetical to the bequest. Marsden, also takes aim at the narrowness of the secularist academy. Quote, openness and diversity, he notes, we have discovered have their own orthodoxies and their own intolerance, end quote. He is optimistic that in its place will come a new acceptance of faith in the academy, and that in the 21st century, academia will be more open to perspectives that go beyond the Enlightenment on questions of religious faith, end quote. It'll be difficult, especially as the void created by the post-Enlightenment era has been filled with various new religions based in Marxism, racial theories, and the like. Today's inhabitants of secular universities would be more likely sympathetic to welcome scholars whose work is informed by their Islamic faith than by conservative Christians. Our challenge as Christian scholars is to be not afraid and provide the highest quality of fact-based research and writing. For example, no one calls Aaron Metaxas a quote-unquote Christian scholar or Christian biographer, although he is both. He's respected for the quality of his work and his dedication to the craft. He's unapologetic about his beliefs and produces a very high quality of work. Christian scholars will face discrimination, possibly ridicule, but we must let our work speak for itself and walk forward in faith. Thank you.